Welcome to the Omnibus Twins gaming channel. Today we're going to be resurrecting a dead CCG, Blue Moon. Alright guys, so let's take a look here real quick at some of the components that are going to be included in the game. You're going to start out with this really cool game board, totally silk finished. Awesome stuff here. You've got these custom molded dragons. Every single one of them is completely unique. You have these great acrylic crystals for the tournament rules, which we're going to talk about here in just a couple of minutes. And then they send you this great little game card that's going to help you keep track of which kind of element you're contesting during any given turn. So, now to start things off, they're going to set you up with a couple of starter decks. The first of these starter decks here is going to be the Volca. The Volca are going to focus on all kinds of fire power play attacks. They're kind of a really simple, right to the attack kind of group. Then you've got the Hoax, your second starter deck. And the Hoax are more of a kind of, if you play Magic, they're like a blue deck. They try to mess with the other player and manipulate the play area. They're not so much into the head-on attack. These are 2 of the 9 starter decks that they give you. From there on out, they're going to slowly guide you through the decks in order of difficulty. They're going to add on to these 2, the Flit, which are going to be bird people, and they're all about armoring themselves and avoiding danger and returning to your hand from play. They're going to add on the Kind, which are all about ganging up and doing large group attacks. They're going to also add in the Aqua, who are all about protection effects and very interesting enchantments, support cards out the wazoo. They're going to add in the Terra here, and the Terra kind of have an interesting play style that combines a lot of the previous styles. They're going to add in the Mimics here, who are all about pairing up for attacks and cycling cards very quickly. And they're going to add in the Pillar here, who are going to have a very power-oriented style, high risk, high rewards. And then they're going to add in the Buka, who are kind of pirate-savvy characters with very interesting rule effects that very, very much bend the original rules. These are going to be the hardest guys to play with and are probably going to frustrate anyone that you try to play them against because you'll have to look up everything that you do. From there on out, they're also going to give you an entire pack of cards that can be added to various decks based on these really cool little codes that they put at the bottom of the card. So this is one of the emissaries, and he has a pack of cards that come with him that can be introduced to any deck whatsoever. There are 4 packs of emissaries, each one having a completely different aesthetic and play style. These emissaries give a very unique deck building opportunity that is extremely simplified for new players. Players wanting to move on to a much more complicated deck building experience can step into using the Inquisitor's cards. And each Inquisitor's card will tell you how many cards you can add to your deck, how much outside influence you have, and any special rules that they apply to your playstyle. There is also going to be an extra pool of cards that you can add that represent every single race and a few races that are not even included in the standard play styles, such as the Tutu. Using the Inquisitors, these should be able to be introduced into any deck. Now, play in the game is going to be a very simple set of rules. So let's take a look at the way play works using the starter decks of the Volca and the Hoax. So, we're going to go ahead and take off the top our leader card, and it's going to go over here into this leader area.
You can tell the leader card, they have the leader of the Volca written right on the side.
Okay, now your deck is going to be put right here where it says Draw Deck. This game board makes it extremely easy to keep track of placement. Again, I take my leader, I put him in the leader area, and then I am going to take my draw deck and put it in the draw area. So, to start the game, each player is going to shuffle their deck, they're going to introduce it to the draw deck area, and they are going to draw off the top 6 cards. Alright, so what you're going to be doing, the core component of this game, is going to be playing these extremely small skirmishes to attract the attention of 3 dragons. Anytime that you win a combat, you are going to attract a dragon. Now, when I say attract, this is a very important term, because if my opponent has a dragon on their side and I attract a dragon, I do not take a dragon from the middle. Instead, I attract the dragon from their side to the middle, and then must attract it to my side by winning another victory. So, how do we attract dragons? You are going to be playing down a character, and then you are going to be claiming which of the 2 elements you want to battle in.
As this character is very heavily based in fire and has 0 earth points, it would be recommended to play on the fire element, not the earth.
So once you've claimed which you're going to be fighting in, you flip your card to the corresponding side in the middle. Your opponent, then, who has drawn his deck of cards, is going to have the opportunity to play a character card and support cards in order to up the power of his character card to beat the power of my character card. Now, the order of the turn is going to be displayed right here and right here facing you. So you begin your turn. On the beginning phase, any special text that's listed on the cards that reads with the beginning phase activates. From there, you can play any leadership cards that you may have in your hand. Now, a leadership card will have the word leadership along the side. Each card is going to have a text that denotes what kind of card it is. Those cards may now be played in the leadership phase. Once the leadership phase has been exhausted, we move into the engagement phase. The engagement phase is where an existing fight between 2 characters continues to take place. Now, from there we move into the character phase. The character phase is when my opponent would play a character to attempt to combat me if they did not already have one out. Each of these phases is named specifically for special text that may be on the card. So if we're skipping over any of these turns, it's because I don't have a special text out that involves that turn. So, my opponent plays a character card. Now, my opponent must manage, for the next turn, booster and support, to raise his power to meet or surpass my power.
The power of the element that's being played.
Yes. Now, if he does not manage to meet or surpass it when we hit the power turn phase, we have to back all the way up to the point at which he played this, and his card is revoked, and I attract the dragon. The reason it is important to plan all of this out ahead of time is because some cards are extremely conditional, and you don't know until you've gone that far whether or not you're going to receive the full points on that card. So it is extremely possible to reach that power phase and have to back up all the way. So plan your cards out ahead of time. Now, if my opponent were capable of meeting my power, my turn would come back around, and then I have the opportunity to play any support cards that I may have in my hand in order to meet or surpass his power. Now, I have things such as boosters in my deck that would allow me to do this. Okay, so I have challenged with fire to 5. I am against 1 here, so my opponent now has to raise their power to 5 or higher, or they will be losing this dragon.
So, in this situation, I can overwrite my character with another character. And when I say overwrite, I mean completely overwrite.
This happens in the character phase and will absolutely replace her character, but unless the character has a withdraw arrow on it, such as is seen on this card, it must remain on the board and she loses it permanently.
So this goes directly over top of Torch.
So now I am put in the position of having to reach the 6 in fire. So I am going to play a support card into my support area called the Ballista of Confusion, and it raises me to exactly 6. As long as I meet or surpass, I am okay for this turn. So my turn ends and my opponent must play.
Alright, so I am once again, on my character turn, going to overwrite my character. I'm going to use a level 7 this time and immediately cover that character. I then follow with a booster. So I have here Pandemonium. Now the way these boosters are worded, let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. The way these boosters are worded, you would read this as if you were reading it to your opponent. You cannot play support card. This means your opponent cannot play a support card. If it said, I cannot play support cards, it's exactly what it sounds like. I could not play a support card. So I'm going to play this right here in my booster area.
Okay, now we have to remember at the end of every turn we must refresh our hand to the 6 cards that we drew at the beginning of the game. You always need to have 6 unless otherwise stated. Now, she has prevented me from playing any kind of support card, which, as you have heard, these hoax are extremely bent on playing. This kind of pins me down and I don't have a lot of options. Luckily for me, I have a very unusual card in my hand called a Mutant. Now, mutants have extremely complicated text that has to be obeyed in order to play them. This one here requires that we meet at least 7 in the contested element for me to play it. Now, when I play this, it is going to change the element that's being contested. So I play this. The element becomes Earth. So my opponent's power is now 0. And my power between my mutant and my ballista is 6. And my opponent must meet 6 in Earth. This is going to be extremely difficult because playing the Volca, she is focused mainly on fire. So I'll give her her turn and we will see if she has to retreat or if she has to play a card to beat me.
Alright, so in this situation, I do not currently have any cards that would bring me higher than he is in Earth, so I retreat. When I retreat, I discard every card I have in play, unless it says otherwise, straight into the discard pile.
And so do I. So anything that you invest in a battle needs to be kept very slim, or you will deck yourself and lose the game very quickly.
Now, because I retreated, I then get to decide whether or not I wish to attack. So I'm going to immediately flip this over to the fire element again and play Lavar the Powerful.
Now, because I have invested so much in the last battle, the only card I presently have in my hand... I attracted the dragon. The only card that I have in my hand is a 1 in fire. This means that I cannot possibly meet her this turn. I lose this battle, and she re-attracts the dragon. This is going to be the basics of the game. You simply have these small skirmishes that rotate until someone is forced to retreat. You refresh your hands at the end of the turn, and whoever attracts all 3 dragons, or whoever has cards remaining when the other character has decked themselves, is going to win the engagement. If you want to, there is a further rule to this that allows you to use these lovely little acrylic crystals. I would suggest always playing the game this way. With these crystals, when a character is decked, the game ends. The winner of the game will claim 1 crystal. So if I exhausted my deck, Sarah would claim a crystal. But there's also a ruling for the dragons. So if I had 2 dragons on my side when I exhausted my deck, I would get 2 crystals, 1 for each dragon on my side, even though I lost the engagement. If, on the other hand, Sarah had 2 on her side, she would gain those 2 as well as the 1 for victory. So the dragons count for points as well as victory counting for points. This will continue until one player has 5 of the crystals on their side. These are tournament rules that I strongly suggest using. Now, let's go ahead back to the table and see what we think about all of this.